week's episode of Anime Bro Debates. I'm your co-host, Chris.
Got Matt, and then we also got a special guest, Rob,
the
joining us
entrepreneur.
again. Yes, the ignorant entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. All right, let's
Great
get
to be
started.
back. Thank you guys for having me. Ready to debate some anime.
This week we're going to be talking about Berserk. It's one of my favorites, the first season at least. So it's about this guy. His name's Guts. He's a very skilled warrior. He rocks a giant sword, and he kind of goes through and gets lots of victories on his own as a mercenary. And then he meets up with Griffith and the Band of the Hawk, and then he has an adventure with them. And it's kind of about his story, about how he grows up and progresses as a warrior.
All right.
I would just like to add to that and say that we have like what people call the golden age. And so that's a lot of like Guts's origin story. And it certainly goes off the rails if you see the original anime towards the end. And from what I understand, they even omitted some details from the manga. But yeah, you'll get to a certain point and you'll be like, where did this kind of come from? So then like when you rewatch it the second time, then you'll start to see the hints. But you probably see Briss's background there. And
well, the first episode is actually like kind of the last episode in the first season. They kind of start off and with showing all the demons and stuff in the first episode, and then they kind of in episode 2 they kind of go back to the very beginning and kind of explain how they got there. So the first time I actually watched it, I went back and watched episode 1 again after I finished the first season because it kind of made more sense.
Yeah, and then from there you proceed to I don't even know what the age is called, but it's anime wise just terrible production. And I'm sure we'll get into that later on.
So I guess Rob, you're the one that originally showed me this one. Why did you enjoy this anime so much?
So I remember when I found out about it, it was college sophomore year. I was staying with Chris over there. And it's just been one of those anime that everybody knows in the community is a must see. And so I start watching it, and usually I'm a guy who animation is really big to me. So at first, it's an anime that was, I think, created in 1998 or something like that.
Yep, 97. Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, and so I didn't like the animation, but instantly you get into this story that is completely unique to anime that I've seen in 2016, 2018, whenever I was a sophomore. So it captured me. And sure enough, I go through it. I just remember telling Chris, I was like, yo, this is the one. This is a great anime. This is a must see.
I mean, they got a great protagonist as well. He's just this huge soldier. He's rocking this giant sword, and then every time he swings it, he chops someone in half. It's very bloody, very gory. There's a lot of action. There's not really like a dull moment, I think, in the first season. It's kind of like the action packed every episode for the most part.
I would agree with that 100%. I'd say Guts is in my top 3 in terms of anime characters across any anime.
Wait, what do you think, Chris?
Oh, I mean, I think as far as Guts being the character, he's probably just outside my top 10, but I do think he is an amazing character. When Rob did show me this show, normally I'm like futuristic technology, not really like in the past. Rob, Game of Thrones, Berserk, he likes that kind of stuff. I'm not really into it, but with that being said, Berserk was actually a very good anime. Like first season, absolutely loved. I wish they would have like showed more or went more in depth about the other members of the Band of the Hawk. But I do understand like the story did focus around Guts and his adventure.
Well, you got a backstory for Casca, but you didn't really get a backstory for any of the other characters.
That is true.
Well, that's what I want to say. I didn't know how you guys wanted to go about this. If we just wanted to go character by character.
However you want, whatever.
I'm down for that. I'm not.
Well, when you said that, I just immediately thought of Judeau. Judeau is the unsung hero. He's probably my second favorite character in the series.
He was actually the one I was thinking about for my background before I found this one. But like,
he's the homie. Like he kind of just seems like he's got everyone's back.
He's got this one quote. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's something to the effect of, I figured that if I couldn't be the best, I would find the man who is and serve under him.
Serve under him, yes.
Yo, he's such a great role player. I mean, I love his mentality. He was one of the last ones to go down. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers. You got
we always spoil the show. It's all good.
well, spoilers. He was one of the last to hold his own during the massacre. I mean, and the way he went out, boss.
And he had like lots of like great kills throughout the show too, where he's just throwing his knives and taking people out. There was one of the first castles that they overtook. Like everyone's all celebrating, like they took the castle, and this guy's about like creeping around the corner with a crossbow, and Judeau's like, "Hold up!" and he like takes him out, and then they just start celebrating again. He's like, "All right, proceed."
Judeau is he's definitely my second favorite character of anybody in the show, and that's saying something because he got a lot of characters.
And he had that like fairy dust or whatever that he gave to Casca to help out Guts after he killed the 100 people.
Yeah.
So he had like connections, he had badass kills, and he wasn't really like he really was down for helping out everyone in the Band of the Hawk. He kind of saw it as a family, as a group, and he was trying to support everyone. He wasn't really like confrontational within the group. He kind of had everyone's best interest at heart.
He was the one dude I felt they shouldn't have let go, or he should be like resurrected or some like he, like to what you guys said earlier, he had a backstory. Like he worked in the circus, I believe, or he was part of his own band of thieves, something like that. But it felt like, him finding the dust, angel dust, and everything like that. Like he had a backstory.
You thought he worked in a circus?
No, I think he.
Well, no. And see, that's the thing, though. It's like we can't really remember because they didn't go in depth with these characters.
He had his own like mercenary group that he was running with before the Band of the Hawk, but he wasn't like juggling or in a like circus.
No, he was from a circus group. It says, I'm looking at his wiki now. He entered, mind you, everybody, I've seen the show 5 times. I haven't watched it recently. Most recent is probably like
I think of like clowns and stuff when I think of the circus.
I'm reading the wiki. He says he entered the Band of the Falcon as a tumbler from a circus group, joining Griffith's then nascent group attracted by the White Falcon's charisma.
I stand corrected.
Well, look, but still, though, we should have gotten more of his backstory so you know exactly where he's coming from. They easily could have went into his past.
Well, the circus, I mean, how many, like, you could definitely go into a backstory there. Like, how do you become a tumbler at a circus to a, like, assassin?
Well, it might have been different back there. It might have been like a band of like gypsies or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure he was still like a bandit of sorts because you saw how skillful he was. He couldn't have just picked that up on the fly.
Well, the knife throwing would make sense if he worked as a tumbler in a circus. That's where the skill there would make sense. But he even goes, he says, like, I'm a master. I'm a what's the saying? A like skilled at many, but a master of none.
Yeah.
He goes
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Yeah.
Well, so, I even thought he was gonna let Guts go when Guts later on wanted to leave the Band of the Hawk. He was like, you got to let a man make his decision, pretty much, where everybody else was like freaking out about him leaving. Like I just feel like he was the realest one of the show. He was like, yo, if Guts wants to go, I'll talk to him just to see what's going on with him. But he said he wants to go. You gotta let him go.
He had the wisdom for the entire band. He was the most logical one.
Yeah, I agree with that. If it weren't for Guts like taking on 100 enemies at once, Judeau might even be my favorite character.
That is true.
I think that's the moment where Guts ultimately like changed the most. A combination of that, and then when he heard that Griffith was saying that the man who is his friend has to like be his equal in every regard.
That's to me that was a turning point. When Guts heard that, he started questioning everything, and everything is just like a accumulation of him hearing that conversation.
And then that was his very next battle, is where he had to take on those 100 guys, and he was kind of just thinking like, what am I even doing right now? Like, why am I in this situation?
Yeah, if you look at the opening for the continuation, like the CGI anime, that I think that's like a scene, and then obviously like the overhearing the conversation with Griffith is like a scene. So the
CGI version is terrible. We can trash that really quick and then move on. But just get it out of the way.
Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, I just thought Berserk 2 was so bad. just the animation. Like you were saying, the animation's a big part for you. I
Yeah.
feel like the 97 style was way better than that CGI.
No question.
Yeah, so
Nope.
it's like we get better tech and you produce a worse product. I don't really get it because episode 1 was even what I thought season 2 should have been like when he was because he was the Black Swordsman in episode 1 and he went around and killed that one guy that had the bayonet. And then
Mhm.
if it was just that style of animation the whole time. Also, they just assassinated Casca's character. Like I would have rather she died than have kept her around and had her be like that.
I
That
agree
was
with that
crazy.
100%.
Yeah.
They really left her like that for the entire season.
Just continuing on from the CGI, because I think this is important for your viewers to know. So they say it was a cost budget decision. That the manga, if you look at the manga of Berserk, it's just so well detailed that to try to translate that into an anime, that's why they felt like CGI would kind of capture it, but it was just so poorly done. It's impossible to watch again. I've only watched it once through. It's such a great story, which makes it so sad. But
Well,
what
if
are you
that's
gonna do?
how Casca is in the manga too, I feel like that's kind of terribly written.
Oh yeah, when it comes to Casca, I
Maybe it'd
agree
be
with
better in
Christian
the manga. Maybe it was like the animation was making it unbearable, but I mean, they ruined her character, I feel like.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right about that.
Assassinated it.
This
Like
made her weak-minded, the only like person, because I think a lot of those guys, like if it was Pippin or if it was Judeau, like I felt like they would have been like had their trauma, but they wouldn't have just lost their minds. I've never seen that happen to any anime character where they just like she's just lost her grip on everything, like her
And I mean, she
memories.
was raped, so maybe that was part of it, but I feel like it would have been better if she was just a mute. I feel like having her like mumble these noises the whole show was kind of ridiculous.
That was a pivotal moment in anime history. I've never seen that in an anime, even in up to like
That was
2016.
actually worse in the or more graphic in the CGI because I actually watched those movies and
I didn't like the movies at all. I thought they were garbage.
yeah, but
I
they like went into more detail in that scene. It was like even more graphic. They were like
But the
showing
CGI
close-ups.
version almost made it look like she somewhat enjoyed it, and I didn't really fuck with that. I thought that was whack. Like the original anime, it was clear it was unwanted. The CGI, I don't know, it kind of looked like a hentai. I'm not gonna lie.
Anyways,
yeah.
yeah,
Did Griffith do anything wrong? You know
uh,
that's a common saying. A
Are
lot
you
of people
talking about
say Griffith did
overall?
nothing wrong.
Are you talking about throughout the entire show or during that moment?
No, I mean that's just the sentiment. Everybody, on the YouTube community, they always say there's even a video. I think it's got tens of millions of views. Like Griffith did nothing wrong.
I mean, I honestly feel like the whole show, like Guts has no dream at all.
Yep.
He's just kind of like he's being a follower. He's like kind of in awe of Griffith. He's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but this guy, he's like admirable. He's got a great dream and he's striving for success and he keeps getting victories. So I'll follow him and help him. And then he leaves after he figures out like I need to figure out my own thing because this is Griffith's dream. I need to kind of figure out what I want to do. And then he comes back to the Band of the Hawks and he kind of like I feel like he just wants to be what Griffith was doing. Like there was a point when they recapture Griffith later and everyone's looking to him as the leader and he's like, "Oh, I guess this is what I wanted all along." So I kind of feel
I
like
had a note about that. I
he was
had a
stepping on
note
his
about
toes a little.
that. I did
So I
not.
guess that brings us into Griffith then. What were you about to say, Christian?
Oh, I remember that part. I didn't. I had a note about that because that was like the dumbest thing ever. Like he did all that shit just to come back and be like, I guess this is actually what I wanted.
Yeah, he
And
like
I,
came full circle. He pretty much
Just to take Griffith's spot.
yeah, he pretty much wanted like what he already had, just with Griffith out of the picture. He's like, "Yo, the Band of the Hawks is actually what I wanted all along. I just wanted to run that shit."
Low key. You're right.
Yeah, so then I kind of when Griffith sees all that in his injured state and he sees what's going on, he took the power back, dude.
I definitely noticed how in the anime they showed that Griffith noticed that Guts and Casca were an item.
Yes.
And it's portrayed in the movies definitely like that was a clear thing that was one of the things he looked at like, yo, she liked me, now she likes him. And then of course the guys starting to look at Guts as that dude.
I think he started to look at him sideways once they got him back.
Well, here's the way I look at Griffith. If I start from like beginning to end, I look at him as a guy who was really willing to do anything. Like we hear about this guy, he even turned himself gay just to get some capital to help like move his dream along.
Would you do that if like all your dreams? Well, I guess it wasn't his ultimate goal, but if it gave you like a huge head start in accomplishing your goals.
Listen, I'm a feminist. So I mean, all due respect, but there's a lot of women that.
But would you do it?
That's it's hard for me to sit here and tell you that I would just take it in the butthole from an old man to level up. But maybe in that situation,
because I was thinking like, because right now we're discussing a hypothetical, so I really don't know. It's
Okay.
like it depends on what are you getting, because it's just like it's really just like one uncomfortable night, and then you level up a ton.
Well, he definitely felt it. Because we seen him the next scene, he's like scratching himself so hard he bleeds.
Yeah, he's like ripping his skin out.
Oh man.
He did get his revenge though, and then he was like, "I looked at you like I looked at a pebble. You just happened to be in my way." So
Yeah.
he got his revenge, killed him. But
Yeah, I mean, in that situation where it's life and death, and you know, like you got people's lives in your hand, it's possible. But I will neither confirm nor deny on this channel.
Hey, I was telling you, like, I don't know. It depends on what you're getting.
Well, I think we should just move past that.
I just thought you were gonna deny it immediately, so I thought it was gonna be funny, but then you had to think about it.
Nah, I've matured in life, and I see like people come from different origins and beginnings. I think he came from very humble beginnings, and so he's just not afforded the same opportunities as a guy from my position. What about you, Briss?
see, I think it's very, very highly circumstantial.
What if
Like
they're
for
like,
example,
yo, you can be the
What does
owner
that
of
mean?
you can be the owner of this basketball team. You like the GM, the owner.
and see what I mean by circumstantial is that like, all right,
How else are you gonna get
that's fine.
how else are you gonna get the basketball team? This guy's just like, yo, I don't even want to be the head of this team anymore. You can just have it. I just need one night.
See, that's a very tough offer because I feel like to his point, if you own a mercenary band and you're back there, you don't have a lot of opportunities like to move up. So your opportunities are limited. But obviously today, everything we have here, we have a lot more flexibility on how to get that. So with the basketball team, I think there's a way for me to at some point be able to own it. Now, if I can just sweep that all away for one night, that's a tough question to answer.
See, we're
I
talking
guess-
about this like
wait.
this is some crazy thing as men, and women do this all the time.
Okay, wait, it'd be different though, because you would have to ask a woman like, would you be okay sleeping with another older woman? And your answer is going
I
to be
think they would do it no problem. I feel like
Yeah, that's
I feel
even
like it would be
better.
harder for them to do it with an old man than it would for an old woman, and they do it with old men all the time.
I would agree, but again, I'm not a woman. But I
I'm
agree
not a
with that
woman,
sentiment.
and I have no opinion on this subject because I don't know what they would choose. Maybe they would enjoy that, maybe they wouldn't.
Well, we can.
Here's what I do.
I just thought it was
know.
funny.
Look, I do know when a girl makes the OnlyFans, they make the OnlyFans to get money from old men, not from old women. So
Well, yeah, like I said, I think it's best we move past this. But going into going into more of Griffith, his story, even just finding Guts, and he said that at the waterfall, but I don't think he was thinking of Guts when he said that, because I think at that point, despite the fact that Guts didn't have a dream, he still looked at him as a brother.
I agree with that. I think, and he even said it himself that he was like, when he got captured, how he looked at Guts differently than the rest of the band. It was clear that he held Guts to a higher level or respected him more. But at
No
the same
question.
time, based on Guts, like, I guess his personality, I don't see why he just didn't speak to the dude like man to man, like, hey, look, I overheard this conversation, and this is what I think about it. That
He
probably
probably
goes.
didn't know anyone was listening.
He's not a man of many words either. Guts is not like the most talkative guy. He's the guy who swings the sword.
But I feel like Griffith definitely could have like paraphrased what he was saying.
Oh, that's a legendary speech by Griffith. I play that from time to time just for inspiration. He's like,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, like the thing about him saying, dreams breathe life into men and can cage them. You know, it's like, even for people that let go of their dreams, it still like smolders in their heart. And he's like, people that don't have dreams, they are dead. For they
Well,
have
Griffith's dreams like stomped other people's dreams.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, but his whole thing about like people being dead if they have no dreams. So in his mind, it's like, oh, if they don't have any dreams, they're already dead. Like that's a powerful sentiment.
But I feel like if Guts came up to him and was talking to him, I feel like Griffith would be like, "No, I do respect you." I don't think he was gonna say like, I don't respect you because you're just following me around." He's like, "Yo, you're like the most vital piece to my plan." His plan ultimately crumbled when Guts left.
But you also have to remember though, he didn't say he didn't respect them. He said that like this person have all these qualities in order for me to look at them as my equal. And that's what Gus didn't like. He didn't like that.
We said to be his friend.
What's that?
He said to be his friend.
To be his friend, yes.
To be his friend. I feel like friend equal. Either way.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if he were to say like Guts is not my friend, I feel like that'd be like saying he didn't respect them as well. Because they are like comrades.
They are comrades, but I feel like you can respect someone and them not be your friend. Like if you had an enemy, you can respect your enemy's powers. So I don't know if that would be necessarily true.
I feel like in this circumstance, though, he's not an enemy, though. So
he was an enemy when he tried to leave, but I get your point.
Do you think that Griffith would have crumbled like that? Because I feel like he became very hasty after Guts left. Like he just went straight up to the princess, made his move on her, and then got captured. I feel like if he didn't lose that duel, he wouldn't have been like so quick to do that. He would have like had his plan play out like strategically and wisely, like he had been doing the whole time. Do you think if Guts left and they didn't catch him, he would have spiraled out of control like that, or do you think it was because he lost the duel to him?
Oh, I think it's 100% he lost the duel.
So like when he was trying to leave in the snow, and like Casca chased after him, and Casca alerted everyone that like, hey, Guts is trying to leave. Do you think if like he just disappeared and then Griffith woke up, like no one knew he left, do you think it would have played out differently? Or do you said you think it's because he actually beat him in the duel?
I think yes, I think it would have played out differently because I feel like if he would not have fought Guts before he left, he would have woke up and tried to like look for him, like to bring him back. But the fact they had a duel and he ended up losing that duel, I think that made Griffith think about things like he's no longer the strongest person in the Band of Hawks. He just got beat.
I agree.
The dude, like all he basically did was like cut a sword, and when you break somebody's sword, that's obviously like I finished you. That's it.
He
Left
flexed
him
on him.
What's that?
I'm on the opposite.
Flex on him.
I completely disagree with your two assessment.
What's that?
I completely disagree. You guys are completely wrong on this. Let me just say that.
All right, what's up?
Now, this is the one critique I'll give of Berserk. I don't have many. I mean, maybe I'll find some more as you guys talk, because I tend to find things that you guys say that is just, I gotta, shut them down. So I think this is a classic example of an anime needing to include something that is sort of like a weak plot point to have somebody make a decision. In other words, they needed this as the reason why Griffith changed, and it just wasn't that good to me. It was like no matter what happened, it was like fate that Griffith was going to do this. It could have been anything. So even if this hadn't happened, the fate that is determined in the show already predestined, and that's like the intro of the show, right? Is
Well,
mankind's, you know,
yeah. Well, Zodd, when they fought that Zodd the Immortal in that one like that keep in that castle, he even said he told Guts how everything was going to play out
He did.
because he had the egg of the king. He said,
like you said, I thought it was weak. I mean, he lost the duel, and like you said, he just made a decision that everybody, us as the audience, were looking at like, what? It doesn't even make it doesn't. None of his previous actions would have you to believe that he would have taken that course. It just doesn't even make any sense.
No, unless they wanted to drive home like how important Guts was to him. Like him leaving changed him so much. And all of a sudden he's like taking actions that he wouldn't
well,
normally take.
Griffith
Why have
was
sex
right.
with the princess?
Griffith was right the whole show, and that was like a moment where he was wrong.
Yeah, but think about it. Why even have sex with the princess? He could have had sex with any girl in the kingdom. Why
I feel like because he was trying to advance his class. He wanted to be. I kind of felt like that action made sense. He was trying to like get in with the royal family so he can like advance his status. He would be like the next heir to the throne essentially if he got with the princess.
Do you watch a lot of like ancient time shows or stuff like that? Like
they marry off their children for like alliances and stuff.
And how many of those, and even like the history, do we reward the guy who courts a woman without marrying her first?
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. He like sped up his plan. Like he wasn't like strategic. Like I felt like that was going to be the ultimate goal was to end up with Charlotte. But yeah, no, he just like threw the plan out the window and he's like, fuck it. Like,
but if he was trying to marry her in that world, it would have never made sense for him to bed her.
Well, yeah, he was in disarray. Like you
what
saw,
did you think was going to happen?
You saw his eyes after Guts left. Like he was defeated.
But I'm looking at that action. I'm thinking, like, as a rational human, because I watch a lot of anime, and I definitely see people make a lot of decisions that you're looking at it and you're thinking, what did they think was going to occur out of this situation? Now, in real life, we have people, we do the same thing, right? We make decisions where it's like,
why did you make that decision?
Why did you make that decision? But in this case, I'm trying to think of the equivalence.
He wasn't taking it like you hear like the playoffs are going on right now in the NBA. They say like take it one game at a time. He was just trying to go straight for the championship. Like he wasn't letting it run its course.
See, but the thing is though, it's like him sleeping with her, nothing positive comes out of that.
Yeah, no, he wasn't thinking. Like he wasn't thinking, but I think that was because he was so rejected after Guts defeated him. Like the whole show, dude. When he was like in the court and stuff, he was getting the best of Foss, that little dude. He like ended up besting the queen. Like he burned them all down. Like he was getting wins after wins after wins. And then he like didn't know what to do. He was even thinking like, this is how I'm gonna beat Guts. He's like, Guts is gonna attack me. I'm gonna parry it, and then I'm gonna go for his throat, and I'm gonna win this duel. And then his sword just shattered, and he's like, pretty much like, yo, what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
it was probably the first time in life that he lost. I think they also said that he'd never lost a battle before. So again, maybe you can give him somewhat of a pass, but it is a critique of mine that he made that decision, and that's what ultimately landed him to be tortured. And I didn't
have a problem with it because I feel like if someone's used to, it's kind of like when Akashi lost in Kuriko's basketball. Like he changed after that. All right, we're back. We had to split it up into 2 sessions. You can see Chris is on the top left now. They got us all rearranged, but
you should have rearranged this.
Hey, it's all good. I gave an explanation, but yeah, I was just saying that I feel like Griffith's actions, like he obviously was in a different frame of mind. So yeah, he did take a course of action that was unusual for him, but he was also unfamiliar with losing, just like Akashi.
You know what I compare it to? I would compare it, if we're talking about today's time, I would compare it to ASAP Rocky deciding to cheat on Rihanna.
I don't even know who that is.
ASAP Rocky?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a guy.
Am I supposed to know him?
Yeah, he was a pretty popular artist, but all you need to know is he's some black rapper and he's with Rihanna. But imagine it
I
didn't
know
even
Chris
have to be a
Brown.
rapper. Imagine it's you and you're with Rihanna. It's the equivalent of, but he's got her pregnant. So it's what Griffith did is the equivalent of someone who got Rihanna pregnant, deciding to cheat on her. It just
I feel
doesn't
like
even
that happens
register
all
in
the
your mind.
time. Whereas a guy who
What?
has like 100% win rate losing, that doesn't happen all the time.
If it does happen, I mean, I guess you could say Tristan Thompson, but I wouldn't really say that Chloe.
Well, you're just thinking of
Kardashian-
famous people. I'm sure there's people that like knock up women and then cheat on them that aren't famous.
That's true, but in this world though, Berserk or Griffith is
In
obviously
this world.
well, in their
All
world.
right, maybe you poked a hole in my comparison, but I guess moving on with Griffith's decisions because
Griffith is famous in that world though, and so is like the princess that he ended up trying to sleep with.
Thank you. And I think Rihanna is leagues away from a lot of these celebrity women that have been pregnant and been cheated on, but that's just me. You know, maybe
I was just saying, like the act, I wouldn't say is that rare. It's pretty sleazy, but there's some sleazy people out there.
I just think in this situation with Rihanna, ASAP Rocky being a lower tier artist and Rihanna being a billionaire, you know, it's just, you look at it and you know how many guys would like to get with Oprah? Not because she's beautiful. Not because
There's a Dave Chappelle skit about that.
Just because she's got billions.
Yeah.
So it's like you got a billionaire and she's Rihanna. It just, yeah, okay. But moving on to, you know, we've got other decisions by Griffith. So we move past that. He gets captured, tortured. I didn't really like that part. The guy took out his tongue, took out his tendons. I mean,
Yeah, he did a lot like that.
I felt like the punishment didn't fit the crime, dude. Like that king, like he got all these victories because of Griffith. They got Doldry back. They were like saying, how are we going to get this castle back? It's like the most key just because of its location. And they were saying it was originally Midlands in the first place, and then Shooter like took it from them. And they were never able to get it back, and they were like staging all these attacks from there. Like Shooter kept like attacking Midland from that key location. No one could get it back. You saw that one it was like the White Tiger Knights. They got destroyed.
mm-hmm.
And then Griffith just goes in there with a small squad. Well, I guess they did have a pretty big army, but not as big as like it wasn't their entire force. He kind of just did a special op and got it back. And they're all praising when he gets back. He's like the hero of the entire like country.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely did a lot for the country. But let me add to that because in the manga, I hate to be that guy that keeps saying in the manga, because I don't read the mangas. I just read the wikis. The king had a crush on his daughter. The king wanted to smash his own daughter. So that is made to light in the manga. And then that adds credence to why he kind of kept her so protected. And his whole thing was he wanted her to be reliant on him. And so when Griffith did that, he took that as the ultimate disrespect. Like, how dare you take my daughter from me? Like, I should have been smashing her.
Yeah, I mean, his life was over. If that was the case in the manga, his life was over once he discovered that.
So
well,
that
he never would have been able to smash her regardless.
No, he had plans to.
In that time,
She wouldn't have been down though.
Yeah, it's crazy because he has a whole queen.
well, wait.
Well, his queen got burned to turn to ash.
No, this was even before. Like, he wanted to get with her for a while.
Well, his wife was a bitch. But yeah, he could have looked. He could have looked somewhere else regardless.
We're talking about a period and where they were taking swords to each other's throats. I don't think she would have had a choice, or even if she would have said no. I don't think she would have gotten out of that if that's what her dad would have wanted.
I'm just telling you guys what was a plot in the manga. So, because I was like you guys,
They could have
I'm
just
like-
banished him though. I would have just exiled him, be like, "Yo, you're out of here.
yeah,
You gotta leave. You gotta leave Midland." But I felt like all the torture was kind of overkill.
Yeah,
Nah,
the torture
like-
was directly because he was upset because he wanted his daughter. So that even made sense to me a little bit more.
It was like revenge.
Yes, it was a revenge thing.
I just feel like I feel like they would have lost the war without Griffith because no one was taking that castle, and they were saying that was like the most key strategic like battle point to take. Like the war was over after that. They like they had a treaty after that. They're like, "Oh shit, you like took this castle."
Yep.
I mean, that's true, but like, no, riddle me this though, Matt. What if someone was like, they gave you thousands of dollars every single year for like 15, 20 years. And then all of a sudden they turn around and they behead your mom. They just killed her. Are you going to be like, damn, you supported me all these 20
Yeah,
years?
but
Let's go on, Briss.
but they didn't behead Charlotte though. She's still alive.
But she's family. She's family to the dad, and
Got to give him the rape example. That seems to be the only way he'd understand.
All right, somebody
like I had a daughter, and then someone.
No. Somebody did that to your mom after feeding you, clothing you for the last 20 years. They all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm taking what's mine.
Just take the L, Matt. Take the L. All got to take it from time to time.
No, I could understand like
careful
wanting to like beat him up.
Recorded.
No, you would definitely have to go after the guy. Would I like chain him up in my like basement for like 3 years? I don't know.
But would you, if you had the money, would you hire somebody to do that? Because he wasn't the one doing it, but he had someone working under him.
I would have just killed him on the spot. I don't know if I would have. I felt like the torture was a little overkill. I like if he had just like crucified Griffith and like executed him, but I could have been like, all right. But I just felt like the torture was a little overkill, especially by not taking him out. You saw what the world turned into. If he would have just killed Griffith, then like he wouldn't have summoned like anarchy on the whole world.
But then once again, that goes back to the fate that the show needed all these events to occur, and that no matter what happened, it was like predestined. And that's what I think is so powerful about the show, is that Guts is actually fighting against that concept of predestiny, and he's fighting against fate effectively.
What were some of your favorite fights with Guts, or just throughout the show?
Well, I mean, a lot of those weren't really fights. It was really just him slaughtering a bunch of people.
Well, he had a fight against Zodd when he like turned into a giant minotaur.
Yeah, there was really like the fight against Zodd. There was a fight against the like
Boscogne, I think his name
general.
Yeah, the purple rhino leader.
And then Griffith, like a couple times, but that's pretty much
really him.
Everything else is like a massacre.
He fought he fought Samson in the woods. That the funny guy's brother. He had like he was swirling the like morning star.
That's okay. You can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He slaughtered that guy, and then his name was Adon, the Coborlwitz guy. He was always saying like, oh, this has been passed down through the Coborlwitz family for 1,000 years.
My favorite Guts fight is probably his first fight with Griffith, where he bites the sword.
Yeah.
And fights dirty and all that. I mean, it wasn't too crazy though. It's just showed me the lengths that each character would go.
Like, I thought it was funny when he was fighting in the woods and he killed Samson, and then that guy's like, don't any of you want to avenge my brother? And they're all
that was funny.
They're all like, no, not really.
All looked at him.
We're good. I mean, this was the other thing I was looking at after he slaughtered the first 25 men. As one of the 100 men, I'm kind of thinking, okay, we probably tried to surround him all at once. We shot arrows at him, and he takes out the next 25. He's taking out half of you.
I'm gone.
It's not really looking too good.
They got his hand though, so that was like that's what he's using to motivate him. He was like, "Oh, dude, we got the arrow through his hand now." Like he
needed a lot more than an arrow. I mean, when you look around and there's only 25 of you guys left,
they're also greedy. he was throwing out like, he's like, whatever you want, 5 times the reward, 10 times.
I would have been weary once he took out 25 men. I mean, one man taking out 25 men, that guy's spectacular. Once he takes out the next 25, then I'm like, let me stand in the background. And then 75, like Christian said, I'm out of there.
Well, I don't think
why are we sticking around?
I don't think I was as greedy as them. I think I would value my life more than this reward that I'm not going to get, because we're not going to kill him.
Yeah, once he got like halfway through, you have to remember, like in that time, they never seen anyone do that besides probably Griffith. You see one guy take out 50 of your teammates, the odds of the second half taking him down, you have to look at that as like your odds are probably a little bit lower because he's ready.
He was taking out like 5 guys with one swing, which was the insane thing to me. Like swung the sword once and like 5 guys died.
No,
yeah,
he's not human.
Like he was coming through with collaterals. He was.
I did like some of the battles though. Like I thought it was interesting how they like they went through the river that one time. They brought all the horses through the river. The guy's like, there's no way to penetrate this castle because they gotta either come from the front or the back, and then they just like came through the river.
Bro, he
Well,
got
the planning
outwitted
and military
every turn.
strategies were amazing.
Yeah.
I'll give that to him. The dude got outwitted at every turn.
Yeah, and then he just kept like coming back, like, "Oh, look how resourceful I am! They can't kill me. I keep escaping." I thought that guy was funny. I was glad he was in the show. He was
I was about to say he
Yeah.
was. I feel like they did his character well because I did enjoy it when he was on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, because there weren't a lot of fools in the actual Team Griffith, or what do you call him, Team Hawk, the Hawk, Band of the Hawk.
Yeah.
So
There was Corkus. He was kind of a fool.
Corkus, I somewhat was able to relate to him. I actually didn't mind. Like Corkus was a tool,
Yeah.
but he was relatable. He's that guy who wanted to be the best,
Yeah.
but he couldn't be. So now he's just like kind of negative towards everybody.
He was a hater.
He's a hater.
Whereas Judeau and Rickert and I guess Pippin never talked, but they all embraced him.
But you could tell, and this is why I respected him so much. He was one of the few to stick with the Band of the Hawk after Griffith was captured. He was clearly a guy who still believed. Like he had hope. He was a hater, but deep down, that's why I liked him. I actually like Corkus.
Well, he was there from the beginning, I think, because they showed him in the Costco flashback.
Yeah. Yep. He was one of his oldest followers. And I thought it was really pathetic how he went out during the sacrifice.
But that was
dude, no one knew what was going on. He should have been fighting, but I feel like
he was done at that point.
He walked right into the arms of the
demon.
The booty.
At least he knew though. He was like, "This is how I die."
He knew what it was. He knew what it was. I don't even know if the demon like altered its appearance. He probably
that was like part. That was like its stomach or something, and then like you saw like the full creature. It had like more limbs and stuff.
But do you think it like illusioned itself to look like just a woman?
No, I think that was like actually how it looked.
Oh man, that's what I think too. And I think that's
he couldn't see the rest of it because it was like in the shadow.
Oh man, I think he saw what it was, but he was out of his mind. And oh my gosh,
you would have to be, dude.
Hard to watch. That was hard to watch.
You'd have to come to terms with what's going on real quick, and I feel like that would be difficult. Like if that were to happen in real life.
Yeah, I'm just saying, imagine seeing it in all its glory and all its splendor. Like, let's assume that the shadows weren't there. Like, he actually saw what it was the entire time, and he still walked right into it.
Well, depending on how it was pretty big, I don't know if you could run away. He would just like grab you with one of his tentacles. So,
there was no running. But I would have respected it more had he not just walked into the arms of the enemy.
Well, Judeau and Pippin, I think were like the only ones that killed any besides Guts.
Yeah, See, what do you do in that situation? Do you form a perimeter? Do you try to run as far as you can? I don't even know how.
I think they did what you were supposed to do. You take the L. Like, how does it matter how you take the L? I mean, I guess Judeau and Pippin went out more respectably.
Well, you know why it matters? Because not all of them died. So there was a way to survive it.
I think they all died except for Guts and Casca.
Yeah. But I mean, it's possible that more could have survived. I think
Judeau would have stuck around. I would have stuck around Guts, to be honest. Like wherever this dude is going, this is the dude I'm following because he has something up with him.
I mean, even the night itself, it's just such a we saw Zodd before, right? And Zodd is I actually like him as a villain too. He looks like he's got layers. He's not just evil to be evil.
He was in the second season.
He reminds me of Kenpachi from Bleach.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He's just in it just to fight. Like he's not in it for the rest of the other nonsense.
He was like a follower of Griffith in the second season.
Yeah, Kenpachi follows the court,
yeah, but they're good guys.
The Gote, like he follows what the old man says, but he still like goes out and fight and does what he wants to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean,
he did save Guts. He threw him the sword.
I just thought, yeah. Well, he thought that he would make a good sacrifice, I think. But I also think that he believes that he could become a worthy adversary to him later on in the future. And I think Kenpachi's the same way. Like if he sees somebody who he thinks has potential, he's going to like support them until they're ready to fight him at their full strength.
Did the exact same thing with Ichigo.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I understand there wasn't too much that could have been done in that situation. So I don't really fault the rest of the no-name characters. What else we got?
There's Gambino, and then there's that was like Guts's like father figure.
Yeah, the whole thing about his lover taking in guts from the womb of a lady that was hanging from a tree, that was pretty graphic and pretty vivid. Like, you know how Guts was, they say he was born. His mother, I guess, was hanged from a tree, and Guts slid out of her belly, and Gambino's wife took him, and then shortly after she died, and Gambino just took care of him because the wife or the lover.
I don't know why they were blaming him for the death though. They might have gone into more detail in the manga, but
I don't think so. I think they did. I forget what they said.
well, even what you just said was more detailed. They didn't talk about her hanging from a tree. They just said he crawled out of a dead woman.
Yeah, I think she was hanging from a tree, dog.
That would have been tough.
So potentially she was like a criminal.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I felt like Guts was kind of just looking for approval as a young lad from Gambino, but he never really got it. But he did teach him how to fight.
I mean, he didn't find his own path.
Shizu was Guts' adoptive mother and possibly Gambino's lover. She first encountered the recently born Guts, who was underneath a withered tree of hanged bodies, covered in blood and mire.
That has to be traumatic.
I think that's why they called him Guts.
Probably
true.
So I know my stuff, man. Don't get into an anime trivia with me, bruv. I know my stuff.
The only other point I really had was I did like that phase when like all the fighting was pretty much over, and the battles were like in the court. So Griffith had like Guts doing all these assassination attempts.
Oh, that was definitely a change in the series. You're absolutely right.
I did enjoy that.
And he assassinated Julius, and he ended up having to kill his kid also.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
that stuck with me. That stuck with me. Him having to kill the little child, and then the old man saying, the butler saying, all the boy wanted was love from his father. And
I don't know why he didn't use a different weapon though, dude. He's like, did people not recognize like, hey, dude, this guy with a giant sword was running around?
That's a plot hole. Yeah. I mean, even in the autopsy, you would see. Wait a minute. There's only but so many men who would have this huge of a sword.
Yeah,
that was definitely a plot hole. Yeah, good find, man. You're right.
He was able to get away with that.
Yeah.
The burning of the queen was pretty badass too.
Yeah, Griffith kidnapped Foss's daughter and like pretty much had him go along with the ploy.
Yeah, the queen, she was just, I don't know what she thought was going on, but I think she assumed that because she said she was the queen, he was going to stop the fire and be like, you're right, you are the queen. I just remember as she was getting burned, she's like, do you know who I am, fool? I'm the queen.
Yeah, whenever Griffith locked eyes with people, he knew all their intentions. Like when they tried to kill him with the poisonous arrow, he just locked eyes with Julius, and he was like, oh, "Okay, I know everything that just happened." And then he locked eyes with Foss that one time, and he like pretty much saw right through him. He's like, "Okay,
you're right. That was pretty dope.
That was dope. I mean, he had to get him on his side though in order to pull off the assassination plan.
Well, how do you guys feel about Griffith now?
He was my favorite character the first time I watched it.
He was always my third. I think rewatching it actually made him drop down lower.
Now, this is all of Griffith? Like you're looking at the actions that he took while...
I just thought like Guts like was stepping on his toes. So I don't know. It is kind of hard to like, he just became so evil. But
my thing is this, and I did want to ask you guys about this. Why do you think he did it? what was the purpose behind raping Casca? Because she was going to die.
Dude, he had to put Guts in his place. I really think it was just like I really feel like Guts was stepping on his toes. He's like doesn't have a dream the whole show, and then he realizes his dream is just to beat Griffith with Griffith out of the way. He's like, yo, if I was the leader of the Hawks, like this actually doesn't seem that bad.
No, but I feel like if Griffith didn't get captured, Guts's dream would have been different.
I still don't think he knew what his dream was. He was out wandering trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's my thing. It was like he didn't really know what his dream was. They let him wander for a year. He still didn't really figure it out.
He stumbled upon the Hawks like getting attacked. I don't think he like knew what his dream was at that point.
He didn't. But my thing is like, bro, they had him leave. He didn't really like discover anything. And then he gets back to the exact same spot. And then season two is like none of that even really happened. Now his goal is like, oh, I'm trying to get Costco back to normal. Like it literally went from like, hey, what's my dream to like be like friends or be as equal as Griffith to I'm falling in love with this woman who's a shell of her former self.
I also think season two is just about revenge, and also like he has that brand on him, so he like doesn't have a choice but to kind of stop Griffith or fight all those demons.
Okay, yeah, but he didn't have to drag the girl around with him everywhere he went.
But yeah, you're right. He cares for Casca, which we
I'm
didn't
with
talk
him.
about her too much, but
I'm with complete disagreements with you guys. I think that Griffith is a bastard. I think that the action that he took, as far as like,
what was he gonna
raping
do,
her-
dude? He was like crippled. He all his strength was restored when he activated the Baylet or whatever happened, whatever you want to call it.
in a cruel way of survival in the fittest, he was within his right of chasing his dream the way he saw fit to sacrifice those men. The raping of Casca is where I draw the line. That had no strategical purpose. Now it did end up serving a purpose.
It
but
broke
his
Guts' spirit.
What's no his
You don't think it broke its spirit? I feel like he looked the most angered I've seen him in the entire show.
Griffith knows Guts. Griffith knows that wouldn't break the spirit. Griffith knows exactly what that would do to Guts.
In that moment, I feel like he had to gather himself afterwards.
Well, the rape did actually end up serving a purpose for Griffith, but I do not believe that was his initial intention. I believe his initial intention was to just show that to Guts before his death, because Guts was going to die, to show him that he doesn't care about him.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you guys know that he busted inside of Casca, right?
So it's
At
like
that
she's
time-
gonna have his child.
Casca was at that time. Casca was already pregnant for Guts. So
Okay.
Casca, did you guys know that?
That is true.
No, I didn't know any of this.
Wait,
She was already pregnant for Guts at that time. So when Griffith did that, he ended up mutating the child. And that's why in the second season or whatever, even in the movies, it shows she has that child that's corrupted. That's because of directly of what Griffith did. And that child ends up becoming the resurrected Griffith.
oh shoot.
But that same child, before Griffith takes over, actually saves, I believe, Guts. So it still had like love for Guts and Casca, but it was warped because of what Griffith did. But
Why
I don't
did she have a
believe-
child? Like way further in the show?
No, so she got pregnant when Guts and her slept together that first time in the
Yeah, but
woods.
you're saying when did she have the child?
She has the child in the I don't know if it shows the flashback in the anime, but it definitely shows it in the movie, her having the child. But I think you're right. I don't think they show it in Berserk 2 or whatever, what have you.
Which isn't, I don't think is worth watching.
No,
Having watched it myself.
no, but if you've seen the movies, it is definitely in one of those movies. They actually show the Skull Knight saving Guts and Casca from that realm.
Which he's not even in the 97 version.
Yeah, they omit that part. And then, but in the movies, like you said, they actually show her giving birth to the mutated child.
She was
that
a
was
I did like her as a character in the first show.
I did too.
She was all right. I felt like she was coming after Guts for no reason at all, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But
he was getting special treatment, and she didn't like that.
yeah, but
okay,
she's
I let it
better
turn
than
off
For the same
Sakura.
reason Corkus didn't like it. I just feel like they went about it different ways because
Yeah,
Corkus is
yeah.
more of a scrub.
Well, Corkus knew what it was because he knew he couldn't beat him.
No.
Casca was coming after him because she wanted to be Griffith's favorite. So the way she's coming at it is completely different from Corkus. Corkus didn't need the favoritism from Griffith.
I don't know that she necessarily wanted to be the favorite. I just feel like she didn't like that he was the favorite. She feel
I would
like
agree with Matt's assessment.
she feel like Griffith was like kind of changing. Like he didn't take this interest in anyone before.
I feel like if everybody here has had a crush that you felt like you had no chance with and that would never even give you the time of day, I felt like she looked at Griffith that way, but she was still holding on to the hope that he would just recognize her.
Yes, I agree with that.
And so when he recognized Guts so quickly and so effortlessly, she took that as an affront to her purpose in living. Because her
You think it was
purpose
like
in
a
living-
physical attraction though, or she just wanted the acknowledgement?
I think it was just the acknowledgement. I don't think it was a physical person. I mean, she definitely talks about how she looked at him and he looked like an angel when she first saw him. But I think it was more like Casca. I don't think she's more into like appearance. I think she's more into like purpose. And Griffith literally gave her purpose. She had no reason for living before Griffith.
So did you want to tell us who your favorite character was? Yeah, I might go with Judeau. I think I'm gonna go with Judeau.
Oh no, I said at the beginning, Guts is my favorite character because
I just didn't like that he like tried to steal Griffith's dream. That was like his big revelation was like he came full circle and he's like, you know what, I belonged in the Hawks the whole time, just minus Griffith is my ideal situation.
Let us not forget that only happened because of Griffith's decision.
No,
like his
was,
actions leading up.
well, he had to sleep with Charlotte, I guess. I thought you were referring to him like becoming like a demon god.
Oh, no. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just think that Guts is the best character because he has the most depth to him. I do.
Yeah, he's the main character. Yeah.
I want Judeau to be my favorite character, but I'm just even looking at from start to finish. I find myself cheering for no one more than Guts.
Every time I watch it, Guts grows on me for more. The first time I watched it, like I said, I felt like he just stepped on Griffith's toes at the end. But then I do agree that he does have a lot of character development.
Well, this is another thing that I'm sorry I keep bringing it up. In the manga, he was sexually assaulted and raped by a man while he was with Gambino. So that's why like he didn't like people to touch him. Like you'll remember
at the beginning, he's like after he kills Bazuso, the guy's like, yo, I can make you a general. And he's like, yeah, don't ever touch me again.
Yeah. He that's why that was.
What about you, Chris? You want to wrap it up? Tell us your favorite character.
I mean, Guts still my favorite character. Judeau is my second. Griffith was my third, but like after rewatching it to the second time, he dropped a couple spots. Because I'm on the opposite end of you. I feel like Guts did what he had to do. You know, he joined his army. He helped them. He was basically the reason why Griffith got a lot of these wins. And then he made his own main decision to leave the clan. And unfortunately, Griffith wasn't a man enough to allow him to follow his own dream. And that's where he fucked up. And then he's going to go and screw up his own plans after Guts makes his own decision. And then like he basically sets everything off himself.
But it looks like we got to wrap it up. But overall, I do think season 1 is great anime. I'm probably not going to ever watch season 2 again, but I have watched season 1 repeatedly, and I do think it's worth watching.
Season 1, legendary. Season 2, do not give it the time of day. You're just better off not watching it.
Thank you guys for having me. This has been the Ignorant Entrepreneur.
It's going to cut you off, but
next
Anime
episode,
Bro Debates. Tune in again.
Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, yeah, next time.
I'm
we can
gonna
have-
go in on that one.
Yeah, we can have Rob back again for that one.